9 years ago in the year 2009, when a person went on an adventure to explore the caves. But while exploring, what happened that the person got stuck between two worlds of life? And could that person ever get out of that cave alive? If yes, then how? In today's video, we are going to talk about one of the most awareing cave incidents in America. Start another new episode. This is the story of John Jonas and his brother Josh Jonas, who used to explore different caves since his childhood. And at the age of 26, with a beautiful pregnant wife and a lovely child, John was about to start a settled life as a pediatric cardiologist. But even in the midst of this settlement, he used to explore different caves for fun. And in the year 2009, he chose Nutty Putty Caves to explore. Nutty Putty Caves located near Utah Lake in America. In the year 1960, it was such a cave that was discovered by Dale Green, which was spread over an area of about 1,400 feet. And its passage was so narrow that leaving a person from here, even a small animal's passage, was considered a challenge in itself, because of which many experienced cavers also did not look back towards this cave. And this was the reason why it was put in one of the most dangerous caves to explore in America. At this time, the small hole you are seeing in this image was the only way to go to this cave. And you can guess how many places will be there in the place where the entrance is so small, because of which many times people used to get stuck in its entrance and used to go back. Now, some people do not go to such caves after hearing all this to be on the safe side. But there are some crazy lovers of adventure who enjoy going to such places. And John and his brother Josh also started preparing to go to this cave in the same enthusiasm, which was probably their biggest mistake. On the night of the 24th of November 2009, at about 8 o'clock, John, his brother Josh, and his about 9 friends reached together to explore that cave that night. Everything went smoothly for about an hour. It was not that there was no problem, but they crossed all the narrow paths together and explored the cave to the inside and reached the biggest chamber of that cave. At this time, the map of this cave is visible on your screen. And in this cave, with a depth of about 145 feet, the section called the Big Slide you are seeing was the biggest place of this cave. And mostly cavers used to come here and finish their journey and used to go back. But when everyone was present at this place, then one of them mentioned the Natty Putty challenge. Actually, there was a thing going on between the cavers at that time. There is another big room across the thin birth canal in this Natty Putty cave. It is very difficult to reach there, because this birth canal was one of the thinnest passages of this whole cave. It was not possible for anyone to enter or pass through it. But John, Josh, and 2 people from that group got a lot of interest in that room, and those 4 people entered the birth canal, while the rest of them kept exploring the safe areas of the cave. Those 4 people kept passing through a series of passages towards the birth canal in a line, out of which John was leading them in the front in the line. After some time, none of them saw any special way ahead. On the contrary, the whole way was getting more and more crowded with every next step. Now, generally what happens is that professional cavers do not walk on their stomachs in such unknown and narrow passages. Rather, they walk on their stomachs by sending their head back and legs forward, so that even if they get stuck somewhere, they can easily come out. But that day, while passing through those narrow passages, John felt as if there was a way down in front, because of which, even though there was no space, he started walking on his stomach and started peeping into a small passage below, which was exactly upside down. Now here John was stuck between the rocks, but still he kept going to that downside place inch by inch, even to the extent that he kept his breath inside and kept moving forward slowly. Until then, he had reached such a place in front of which there was nothing other than solid rocks. Now friends, it was too late. John was stuck upside down in a small passage of 10 by 18 inches, about 100 feet below Natty Putty Caves. And because his legs were up, that's why he got stuck there. That too in a position from where he could not get up and come back. And there were 2 reasons for this. See, the first one is that the place where he was stuck was not a polished opening. Rather, it was a narrow place from where his body could not even go normally. On the contrary, he himself went there by peeping inch by inch. And the second reason was that John was a 6 feet 90 kilos strong man. And imagine this man of physique lying upside down between 18 by 10 inches of rocks. You will get the answer yourself. After a while, when John's brother Josh reached him from behind, he saw John's feet and realized that his brother is stuck upside down in that rock. He reached him as soon as possible and tried to pull him out by holding his feet. And in this process, his brother came up a few inches. But then his hand slipped and John fell into that pit again. Now Josh had understood that nothing would happen to him alone. That's why he went out immediately to call for help. And John was waiting for hope on his head about 100 feet below the ground in that narrow passage. As soon as John came out, he used his local authorities, agencies, and all his contacts to call as many rescuers as possible. After about 3 hours, a local rescue volunteer, Suzanne, entered the cave first. And during the rescue mission, Josh and his entire group found out that the place where John was stuck was not actually the birth canal. In fact, while going to the birth canal, John took a wrong turn towards the passage, which used to go to a dead end, not a chamber, which you can see in the area near Ed's Push in the map of this cave, while the birth canal was opposite to it. And this one mistake had knocked John on the doorstep of the most painful end of the world. Now Suzanne was very agile and comparatively small. That's why it didn't take her much time to reach John. But John was so big that only Suzanne could not rescue him, and this effort went in vain. In the next few hours, the entire team of more than 100 rescuers reached there. Many of them went to that cave one by one, and kept watching how John can be pulled out. They thought of many ideas, like applying lubricant to the nearby rocks, which makes the surface slippery, and John can be easily pulled out. An idea was also kept that the stones around John should be drilled, make a big opening, and try to pull them out. But all these ideas were of no use. This cave, and especially the area where John was trapped, it was so thin that the goods could not be easily supplied there. The second reason was that if the rocks were tried to be chopped more, then that dust would fall directly on John's face, which could make that area more suffocating. Apart from this, if the inner part of the cave started breaking while drilling, then both the trapped workers and John would have died instantly, which was obviously too much of a risk. Now look, it is not that they assumed all this without trying. The rescuers also tried to drill the stones near John for about an hour, but the stones there were so hard that even after drilling for more than an hour, they were able to successfully cut only a few inches of stones, which made it clear that even if the rescuers cut the rocks all day, still nothing was going to happen here. Now the time was passing. John was trapped there for more than 10 hours, where now he was having trouble breathing due to less oxygen, and due to the strength of his head, his heart had to act against the gravity and had to work twice as hard to pump blood. Now the problem here was that the rescuers could only see John's leg, because of which no one had any idea about his consciousness or the condition of the rest of the body. But in the meantime, a great plan was crafted, which was really marvelous. The rescuers thought of installing a lot of bridges in the cave, in which they decided to tie the rope to John's leg. Now it was thought that after tying this rope to John's legs, all the rescuers will pull John together in a group of 8 people, due to which the chances of John getting out of that passage were increasing. To make this plan a reality, all the rescuers started installing these bridges in different parts of the cave. In the meantime, a 2-way radio was also sent to John, through which he also spoke to his wife for a while, and both were consoling each other. Now about 19 hours had passed since this incident, and John had almost lost his hope. But then a miracle happens. The rescuers tied a rope to his leg, and the whole team of 8 rescuers started pulling John up one by one, and this plan was becoming successful. All the rescuers used to pull John for a while, and then take a gap. But in the meantime, John was having a lot of pain in his legs. After all, there was a tight rope tied to his leg, and with the help of his legs, his body was being pulled to the weight of the body. But here the third time, as soon as he was pulled out, then his body came out of that hole to a large extent, and he was now able to make eye contact with the rescuers above him. His eyes were completely red. He was telling his rescuers that his leg was hurting a lot, but he was happy that now he is going to come out alive. And after this, normally after a while of rest, he was pulled for the 4th time in which he comes out completely, and it was a very happy moment for everyone. At that time, the workers who were pulling the rope in the outer part of the cave felt like a push, and the rope became loose. The rescuers outside contacted the rescuer closest to John, but there was no response from there, and everyone was scared. After a while, when the sound came from this side, then the rescuer told that he could only see dust from all 4 sides, and he was unconscious because the pulley at the very end was broken, and his iron carabiner fell directly on the rescuer's head, which caused a lot of injury to his head. When asked about John, the rescuer told that because of the broken rope, John fell back into that rock, and this time, maybe more than before. Now there was a lot of injury on the head of the rescuer trapped inside, because of which he came out, and the other rescuer replaced him. But when the other rescuer reached near John and called out, then he did not get any response from there, after not getting any response for a long time. When a medic went to the cave, then he tried a lot to analyze John from inside, but because there was no substantial response or breathing sound, John was officially declared dead. After 27 hours of hard work and 137 rescuers' efforts, John Edward Jonas was not able to come out of that cave, and his body was also stuck in such a place, from where retrieving him was also a big risk for the rescuers, because of which his body was left there. That cave was permanently sealed, and outside the entrance of the cave, in the memory of John. This plaque was kept, which is really quite emotional. Now think about it, for 27 hours, exactly in the same position, in which your hands were also not free. There were only rocks and dust all around, and such an end, that you did not even get a chance to say bye to your loved ones. We have covered many tragic incidents till date, but if you feel this, then it is realized that this is for sure one of the most caving final breath till date. Although if you know about any other such incident, which you want us to cover, so that such awareness can be spread, so that people think at least once before doing something like this. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you enjoy, and how can we make our stories even better? Let us know in the comments below. And if you loved it, share this video with your friends. Let's keep the stories rushing in. See you in the next one.